Sometimes life fools you into thinking that your home is fortified with security, yet this is not entirely the truth. We're talking about larger-than-life secret tunnels that hide espionage equipment, as well as unwelcome lodgers hiding in your basement. Let's get on with this exciting episode. While you're here, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe and click the notification bell for more such amazing content. Number 12. Secret Dungeon. In the year 2013, Daniel Carley moved to a new apartment in England. It was small and decent until he discovered a hatch on the hallway floor that seemed like a storage space, only to discover some hidden stairs leading to a basement full of rooms that expand into the neighbours' floorboards. There were some newspaper clippings among other paraphernalia. Turns out the building was a monastery from the 19th century. If Daniel was a weirdo, he could easily sit under the floorboards and spy on his neighbours. Number 11. Sickness from the Depths. Back in 2008, Jason and Kerry Brown found a place in North Carolina that they thought was the perfect home to raise their daughter. While redecorating behind bookcases in a bedroom, they found a secret passageway to another room where they found a letter from the previous owner. The letter revealed that there was a serious mold problem that had forced the previous tenant to move out since the kids were getting sick. When experts were brought in, they confirmed this fact was true and the mold on the wall was very harmful. The mortgage company did not have a solid explanation, and Kerry's family opted to move out and the case was settled out of court. Number 10. Unwelcome Guest. When some students from Ohio moved to a new house, they noticed very weird noises that were emanating from the basement. They thought the place had ghosts until they discovered a secret door and discovered there was indeed another room and someone living there. Upon investigation, they discovered that there was another student who was living there rent-free and had gotten a key from a cousin who had occupied the place previously. He was caught and forced to move out. Number 9. An unbelievable discovery. A resident of Nefinin province in Turkey found some pretty interesting cellars after knocking down a wall in his basement. He found a mysterious room that had walls of ancient stone. This, however, was just the beginning of his findings. Next was tunnels, then countless rooms. It seemed there was a little city under his stairs. This gained the interest of historians who connected the city to the Phrygian people from 3,000 years before. The city was known as Derinkuyu and housed about 20,000, acting as a retreat during war. The ingenuity of the underground air holes as well as access to the underground water source was commendable. Following more big-scale wars, the city was abandoned in the 20th century. Number 8. Timeout Room. In 2014, a Reddit user, Nuke Storm, moved into a house that had an attic. To access it was a small 4-foot door fortified with strong metal mesh. In there he found a mint green room that had a light, a makeshift bed and some shelves, and there was evidence of occupancy. The room had not been mentioned by the realtor or the previous owner, so the mystery behind the attic door still remains unsolved. Number 7. Slithering Intruder. In 2009, Beth and Amber moved into their new home. They had no idea that they'd be welcoming an unlikely guest. They soon noticed strange things. The tap water, for one, had a bad taste. There were also garter snakes slithering around the yard. They then started to piece the puzzle. Turned out the water tank was a breeding point for snakes. In one day, they captured at least 43 of them. Turns out the previous residents had been featured in the local news with the same problem. The realtor had denied claims. Having had enough, the Sessions family decided to move out with immediate effect, leaving the reptile nightmare behind. Number 6. Bats in the wall. One family in Chilliwack, British Columbia also made a huge discovery in 2019 when they moved into their new house. There were bats flying about in the chimney. There were over 150 bats living there, and following wildlife laws, their hands were tied and they could not lay any traps. They had to wait it out until the end of summer for the bats to leave willingly. The only scary thing was that they came with a risk of rabies. Number 5. Eight-legged invaders. Now this is a new scenario. Thousands of spiders crawl out of the walls one awesome evening. This was the horror that the Trost family faced in 2007 when venomous spiders started crawling from the walls. The numbers were ridiculous. Between 4,500 and 6,000 spiders whose venom caused rotting of the flesh found in their home. The family had no choice but to move out and let the pest control deal with a very big problem. They sprayed, but every year the spiders came back. Their family eventually moved out and the property was handed back to the Federal National Mortgage Association. Number 4. Well. For 25 years, Colin Steer, hailing from Plymouth, England, kept wondering what the cause of the indentation on the floor of his living room was. The sunken spot roused his curiosity so much so that in 2012 he sought to get to the bottom of it. With help from a friend, he dug it out. Turns out it was an opening to a stone tunnel filled with dirt, and once the excavation was complete, it turned out this was an old well from medieval times. He also found a medieval sword. The well is now an intriguing feature of Colin's living room. His wife is, however, not so pleased with his shenanigans. Colin's experience is much simpler. One such well was found in a redditor's basement, and yet it had to have been a water source at some point. It's a source of nightmares, and has currently been sealed shut by some cinder blocks, as is the case in this picture. Another nightmarish well incident occurred in Connecticut in June 2020, when helping move furniture into a friend's family home had clocked at least 177 years. Christopher Town heard a creaking sound. The next thing, he was tumbling down like a piece of rock falling in the water. He almost fell 30 feet to what was soon discovered to be a well from ancient times. The well then filled with ice-cold water that got to his head. He held on for dear life, fortifying himself with the well rocks until help arrived. He was almost getting hypothermia, but once he got to the hospital and warmed up, he was even allowed to go back home. From then on, Christopher fears wooden floorboards. Number 3. World War Remnant. As the Second World War was ending, German immigrants who were living in the Czech Republic were evicted, and what followed was these Germans who had fled home after failing to agree with the fascist leadership were subjected to acts of violence. One German family was forced to flee, leaving behind all they owned. One of the children, Rudi Schlattner, assumed his family abandoned belongings were lost, never to be seen again. When he went back to the then home in 2015, he was shocked to find that the house had changed, but the family belongings were nowhere in sight. On checking the attic, he saw a dangling string. When he pulled it, a secret panel was open. Inside the compartment, he found his parents' things as well as some things from his childhood, which had stayed up there for decades. From old photos, toys, inkwells, documentation, and other memorabilia that took him way back when. The occupants of the house had no idea there was such a deep history living up in the attic. Number 2. Listen up. When this gadget was found in the home of a Reddit user, Miggy, she went on Reddit and asked what the device was. The device was a recorder that most likely had been left by her jealous boyfriend to spy on her. She further found more spying devices in the house, and when she confronted him at first, he denied it. When he later agreed to the accusations, the damage had been done, and the couple was done for. No trust, no relationship. The lady cleared her Reddit account and moved out while at it. Number 1. Someone's watching you. You know that feeling you get to suggest that you're being watched? Derek Starnes and his wife were taking a break from normal life and vacationing in an Airbnb in Florida. They noticed something strange in the smoke alarm appliance, and on further investigation they found a camera in there. They called the police and the truth was uncovered. Turns out the Airbnb owner was using the camera to record the most private moments of his guests. He was charged for video voyeurism. The Starnes, however, become wary of any living spaces they stay at that are not home. Another similar and high-tech setup was found in Alexandria, Australia at a shipping container after a fire broke out. After the fire was put out, it was discovered that the container was being used as a shanty town where people were living in the shipping container. And that was not the worst of it. The owner of the place had rigged cameras to spy on the people. Cameras were in light fixtures and fire alarms and the central nervous system where he watched everything. The man responsible was slapped with 18 months jail time and a $210,000 fine. All of this can make you feel wary. I could be paranoid and would never look at Airbnbs the same again. Got any more creepy things that have been found in people's homes and houses? Hit us up in the comments section.